Welcome. I'm John Grubb. I'm with United Restorers, and I am joined today with Taylor and Dominic Rivas from H2O Away in Olympia, Washington. And I've had this on my mind for a while. How do companies get customer reviews, and why don't some companies get customer reviews? And I am, full disclosure, H2O Away is a client of ours, but I am a member on their Google My Business account. And so several times a week, I get a notification of another 5-star review, and I get to read the review, and it's awesome. So I reached out to Taylor and Dominic and said, hey, would you mind sitting down with me for a bit and sort of giving us your process? So guys, thanks so much for making the time. I know you just got back to the shop from a job, so you're probably beat. But we'll keep this brief and we'll try to get the facts out. But first, I want to know a little bit about you guys. What's your story? You kind of look alike.
a little bit. I think my mom said I got the good-looking genes. Taylor and I got the smarts. So, so a little about us. Taylor and I came from a natural catastrophe insurance adjusting background. So we had normal 9-to-5 W-2 jobs, and we would save up our vacation. And once a year when a hurricane would hit on East Coast or in the South, we would put on our insurance adjuster hats, and we would head down or head over and do some of that stuff to fill our time and come back and write files and Xactimate, really get through that process. And in between major storm years, we would still fill that time, but we would do some general contracting work and things. And him and I both a couple of years ago went through some home life changes in terms of marriage and personal relationships, and we just kind of came together. And we were actually one day on a boat together, and we said, hey, how can we do something that combines our insurance adjusting background and the business, acumen piece that we had, and our GC backgrounds, and get out of this 9-to-5 rat race and quit building somebody else's company and build ours. And so we came together and said, let's take a stab at it, and spent a lot of time online researching and getting familiar with what to do. And I distinctly remember taking our first couple jobs and thinking to ourselves, wow, what are we doing here? And and there was a few people in the industry who really stuck out to us as buzzwords, celebrity kind of names. And we quickly found those people and attached ourselves to them. You being one of them. And we said, who's going to help usher us into being a good, profitable, fun company? And you've got us here. So that's kind of our story in a quick, couple 60-second nutshell.
So you left the dark side in what year?
Well, the last storm I worked was Hurricane Irma, and I think Taylor had already decided to bail on doing the adjusting thing.
I think I was Sandy, Superstorm Sandy, 2012, 13. Yeah, so a while ago.
Yep, and I was a glutton for punishment. I wanted to continue to get beat up by insurance and the carrier and just be. So we were independent adjusters too. So we were kind of getting the wrath from everybody, including FEMA, on a natural catastrophe. So,
man, a little bit of a masochist, I think. Okay, so what year in business are you with H2O Away?
So we officially started in 2018. The summer of 2018 we started, and we kind of had no real dreams of grandeur. We looked at, all on the forums and on, the Facebook groups. We said, oh my gosh, the average water job that people are getting is X amount. We only need to do a few of those a month and have one van and work out of a garage. And
how many restoration companies have started with that same exact epiphany? I only need like 3 or 4 a month. I'm set for life. Yeah, I know.
It is wild. And, Taylor and I being the serial entrepreneurs that we are, we thought, well, we never see, hey, this is enough or this is comfortable. And,
it's quite the opposite. Yeah. So our normal 9-to-5s, we were building other people's companies for the last 10, 15 years. So yeah, it got pretty frustrating towards the end and pretty burnt out building somebody else's dream.
But it's snowballing a bit. And, we've, and I'm sure you'll get to this in the questions, but we have kind of every 6 months, in the past 2.5 years gone through a major revamp, major reshift. And, as any good company, we wrote a big, nice mission statement and had, you know, these big dreams. And our latest incarceration here or you know, way of looking at things has changed at the start of COVID. And we've really switched even our mission statement up, and we can cover that here in a bit as well. I'm sure your questions will lead us there.
Okay, I'm writing down some new questions once we get through these, so that's good. I do want to talk COVID and especially Washington State, how that has impacted you all. So you're in year 2. You just recently hit your 2nd year in business. What was year 1 like?
Wild. So it was, we were, you know, pretty much taking anything we could get in Washington, and where we're located, we're in Olympia, Washington. So north of us is, the furthest north that we've gone is Monroe, which is about 2.5 hours north of us, you know, with traffic. And we were consistently taking jobs in Seattle, down south all the way to Vancouver, so almost on the border of Oregon. Lots of windshield time, and we realized that, wow, you know, profitability is not there, and especially as we continue to scale and grow, you know, we heard mine deeper in your local area, and so we really started to do that and embody that 6 months in. And you know, we now are happy to kind of report we keep in our own confines of, you know, our county here, maybe a little north, a little south, a little to the east and west, but
a couple towns, and that's about it.
Yeah, and you know, with that, it's really changed up what our service model can be to our clients too. Okay. And you can do a lot less with, or a lot more with a lot less, you know, if you stay in your own backyard. And so it's been really nice.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I've advocated for a long time that there's enough work in your backyard. You just have to go and find it. It's there. It really is. I often ask, you know, if I get a cold call in, you know, I'll ask what's your service area? And I can almost, you know, like word for word, repeat back to them what I know they're going to say to me. And it's, I'll go anywhere for a good job.
Yeah.
You know, that works for a while, but you have families, you have, you know, employers, or you will have employees that have families. You have quality of life, you have expenses, and why not just look in the backyard? It's there.
Well, okay. I know that through our networking, there's a lot of great restoration companies here in Washington as well, servicing a lot of the areas that we were kind of going into. And for us, we can still service the client when they call in and say, hey, here's somebody that we would recommend calling, pitch them off. And, you know, we used to be so terrified if we, you know, would lose a job. Now it's better. Hey, if somebody else can service them and get to them quicker, let them have it.
Absolutely.
Right. And you have met these companies, you've gotten to know them. You have an established trust between the two companies, right?
We do, and there's often, you know, some whining and dining that happens. You know, we'll often meet for lunch and share ideas, meet for coffee, and say, "Here's what we're doing. Oh, here's what we're doing." And you know, as you know, the restoration community is so awesome because, you know, there's a couple odd, funky, you know, apples in the mix, but I've never met a business community that is so open to sharing ideas and really just wanting the rising tide to raise all boats and forever. Yeah.
We couldn't say that 5 years ago. So it is changing, and it's rapidly changing, and it's great to hear. And it's great to hear that even as a 2-year-old business, you are seeing that. That's really your only impression of the industry. Mm-hmm. There are some, you know, companies that have been around longer and in different areas. Definitely there are some major metros and some states even that they don't have the same type of unicorns and rainbows with other restoration companies. So I'm glad you guys have experienced that.
Yeah.
All right, we will. I do want to circle back to networking and talk a little bit about AIR and BNI, but we're not doing biography, even though it's super fascinating. I do want to get into reviews. So, okay, I'm seeing reviews come in several times a week. Maybe 1 week I'll see one review in, but usually it's multiple reviews per week. And that's been the garnering of reviews has been a big initiative for you guys in the last several months. So over the past 6 months, what percentage of jobs completed did you get a public review on?
Yeah, so we can back up a little bit on that one and say that 6 months is kind of wonky because we're looking at like the COVID time frame.
Sure,
right?
sure.
I can't answer that accurately. for the last 6 months.
But I can tell you the last 90 days, the goal is 100%. 100% of jobs, that's the goal. And we're meeting that, and we're probably at about 95%.
In the 60 to 90 days, absolutely.
Yep. And that is definitely, though, we talked a little bit earlier about mission statement, goals and objectives of a company. And 6 months prior to that, our goal and objective was volume. How many fans can we slam in a house? How many houses can we slam in? We have done a complete 180 at the start of COVID. Taylor and I looked at each other and we said, we're going to kiss. We're going to keep it simple, stupid. And literally our only goal when we wake up in the morning, when we go to bed, and when we walk into a client's house is a 5-star review. And there's oftentimes that a couple of those reviews that we get are clients that, even say in the review, hey, they didn't even perform work for me because they came in and they sold themselves out of a job. They said, we've identified things, and we build such a strong rapport with the clientele that we know at the end goal, I want, tears and a hug and a big thank you and a 5-star review. And so oftentimes I'd say 50% of our jobs, we at the end don't even have to ask them for the review. They leave a review. Our most recent one, we hadn't even started the job yet. And just with the rapport we built in the first hour that we spent at the job, she left a review on multiple platforms. And so to us, if that's the only thing you're doing, you're killing it. And with that, every decision that we make in our business, from marketing to equipment choices, to equipment cleaning, to billing, is built around that 5-star ethos and philosophy.
Yeah. Now, in the past, and like Dominic touched, we were spread out so, all over the place, and it was volume, right? Then we found out we can do that same volume in our backyard. Well, now we've taken that piece kind of and manipulated it again, and we're not concerned about that volume piece at all anymore. If we were doing, let's say 100 jobs a month, 6 months ago, we don't even track the number of jobs we do a month anymore. It's just not even something that we look at.
We track by review.
Wow. That's pretty controversial. That's going to be interesting to see how many minds are blown by that statement, because I like it. I know 3 of us had gotten on a conference call. I think it was the end of 2019, and you all sort of gave me your 2020 vision. And granted, none of us knew that 2020 was going to be 2020, right? So, but the plan was you had kind of gotten too big too fast. You wanted to scale back a little bit and focus on profits. Do you think that the shift to focusing on 5-star reviews and almost really tracking your jobs based on reviews and not completed jobs like, we normally would, are your margins increasing or decreasing because of that?
So I'm the spreadsheet graph economics sort of guy. I can tell you that yourself, many other people in the industry gave us the fair warning of, don't try and be a superpower. Don't grow too quickly. And in my business background, grow too quickly is not a real statement. You grow as quick as you can. And, I poo-pooed that a little bit and said, it is what it is. We absolutely felt the grind of that. Our bank account felt the grind of that. Our customers, our employees,
sanity,
girlfriends, kids, everything. The majority of my gray in my beard is from 2019, and we now are, to be just 100% frank and open with everybody, we've never been more profitable with absolutely a fraction of the amount of work that we have. Our lives are enjoyable. We're still out there grinding every day, but it's an enjoyable grind, and it's a more proactive, thoughtful approach to work as opposed to a reactionary approach. And, I talk about those customers there's been a couple who we've talked ourselves out of a job, and it's in a prior life when we had so much volume that I had to try to capture, I needed to talk myself into a job and say, you got a little bit of mold stain here or some water, let me drop a fan or a DQ, let's file a claim. Now it's like, hey, you've pulled up the carpet and pad, things are looking great. It looks good in here. So, and I don't feel guilty about walking away from jobs anymore. Taylor had said in the van today about walking away from a job we don't feel like can be a 5-star review.
Yeah, and if we're not a perfect fit for a customer up front, we are overly honest with that customer now. and give them recommendations, our competition, whoever else that we can, think that's going to be a better fit for them. We have no problem anymore handing that job over to somebody else who can service that customer better, or know that they don't care about the 5-star review, at the end, or whatever that looks like for them. If it's not 100% right for us, we will absolutely be upfront with the customer.
Very, very, very smart. And that's,
hard
it's funny. Very hard to do. I know, very hard to do. I talk to restorers all day, every day. And it's amazing how many companies who have been around 15, 20, 25 years, they've never learned it. Or they decided long ago, I'm going to do everything. And, you can hear the stress in their voice. You can hear the exhaustion, because they are trying, they're just chasing that next flood, and they're not looking at the potential consequences. Learning how to fire a client and learning how to properly onboard or maybe offboard a prospect is, those are things where you guys learned them quick, or you implemented them quick. I'm not sure which one, but that's great. That's
makes
great.
It easy to do too when we don't have a full boat of service offerings. 6 months ago, with that 5-star review, we knew that I can get a 5-star review on water and mold, and obviously sewer damage cleanup. Anything outside of that, we were chasing, bio jobs. We were chasing fire, smoke jobs. We were even, like at the very beginning of COVID, looking at COVID cleanings and stuff. We even went and got asbestos supervisor training. I think we told you we were going to open an asbestos abatement division, and we just have scaled back and said, hey man, we can do water and mold very well. Leave the rest to the other guys who have the infrastructure to do the others. So, and that way we can service our clients better.
So you said earlier that oftentimes that customer is automatically leaving a review at the end, or sometimes right after that job starts. But have you ever set and developed a script, a process for asking for that review, and at what point in the job do you do it, or do you do it multiple times?
Taylor and I are on every single job that H2O Away does. One of us goes out there. We early on with our employees realized that no matter how stellar the employee, no matter how stellar the customer, their pocket is not tied to yours. So we make it a point to go out and build that rapport. Myself or Taylor still answers every call that comes in on our main line, because I know I can treat it well. We have empathy from the beginning. And with that script, we're always shooting towards that. We share our story with our customers, and we are, forever salesmen. Even when you're in a Tyvek spray and mold, you're still selling yourself, the appearance, the look, the feel, everything all along. And I think that at the very end, the script is very loose, but it's there and it's tailored to every client.
Yeah, it is a little bit, high level. It looks like myself or Dominic walking every job at the certificate of completion point. And after I get that signed COS, I then do the ask. At the very end, after I give, and we give throughout every job, go above and beyond with the cleaning, the PPE, everything, locking up the customer's dogs in the other room and helping them with that, or whatever it is. At the very end, at the certificate of completion point, is when we do the ask.
You guys had breakfast with Clark Brown last week, right?
We did Dutch baby and eggs Benedict, and he told us about the smoked queso that was amazing. So we went home and promptly made that.
We did.
All right, that sounds delicious. Clark made this comment. This was a couple years ago, and it was when he was at his previous company, where he was running the restoration division, and it was his first foray into residential. They began teaching their technicians, who were also salespeople, and they had no project managers. They were teaching, the minute you're walking up that front, walkway to the front door, it's, hello, my name is so-and-so, here's my ID. I'm here for a 5-star review. If at any time my service falls below that, here's my cell phone number, that kind of thing. It's interesting that you ask at the end, do you guys use any kind of automation, any kind of software to ask for that, or no?
We do. We actually, we had looked at doing a process like that when we had employees of
right.
that sort of, there's a lot of, our parents came from the HVAC background. They had an HVAC company, and their big thing was take a picture with the customer at the end, doing the whole hug thing, and they would take a Polaroid back in the Polaroid days. And so their office was littered with them. And then in their guerrilla marketing mailers that Taylor and I helped fold as kids, they would post, a new one each month or whatever. We felt that in today's day and age, being genuine is so important, and that feels so scripted. And so we do, though, have a very direct script of how we approach a house. So all of our vans are, logoed, wrapped, very nice. We always park in front of the front door so that when the customer opens, they see myself or Taylor, who responds to every call first, and our van or truck parked directly behind, because that establishes credibility from the jump. Also, we do the almost like you're going on a first date. I look in the mirror, I adjust my polo, that I keep a clean one in the car before I demo. I take it off, I adjust my hat, grab a business card, gloves, booties every time, and a doormat. So we walk up, we drop the doormat that says H2O Away, and we literally just look so crisp and professional walking up. And then Taylor is quasi project manager on a lot of these, and so he'll offer his cell phone number and say text with anything. And he gets the very needy clients who text with everything. But having that text basis gives us their cell phone number. And at the very end, when we do the ask, we just say, hey, we ushered you through this whole process. Is there any way that I am going to be able to ask you for a 5-star review? The client says, absolutely. And we use the Google My Business app. Okay. In there, you can send a review request to a cell phone, and I click it, boom, nice. And I say, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you today. Thanks for letting us service you. Let's get that review out there. And before we leave the driveway, we'll usually have one in there.
We've used multiple platforms over the last 2 years. I mean, probably 3 major platforms. We won't name names that kind of do that at the end of your file. The Google My Business one does it just the same. It's easy. It's clean. It looks fine. So we've kind of just been sticking with that recently.
Good deal. So I think the most important thing is you have a process. It's not this awkward, oh, by the way, could I get a review from you? Or, worse yet, it's funny with the observing technicians, they tend to wait till that completion certificate time. And then they get nervous about it. And then they usually just don't ask. But if you've got the process in place and it's just part of how we close out that job, that's where you have success. So that's
yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. With employees, have you ever considered incentivizing your employees or that homeowner to get that review?
The incentivizing the homeowner feels funny to me, and in a prior life in the corporate world, very frowned upon to, do the quid pro quo, this for that sort of thing. This should be, I'm providing you impeccable service. The return is, hey, give me a shout out, but you can speak to the employee piece a little more.
With our employees, absolutely. We've developed over the past couple of years, probably, I don't know. I mean, this might even be a long time, but between 5 and 10 different, spiff programs, the whole 9 yards. And I couldn't ever really dial it in with the same expectation that I would get with I walked the job at the end. And so now I just know that that's my role. I walk the job at the beginning and I walk the job at the end. And I stay in constant contact with the homeowner the entire time. I just know that that's my role.
Yeah. I can say as a repeat water damage victim, there's nothing like having an absentee project manager. Yeah. You just feel lost. I mean, even though I know the process, but I've dealt with absentee project managers. And I should never have to call the office and get like an office manager for them to kick my project manager into gear. So that communication is smart. That does lead to that 5-star.
I think there's a lot of it too. We're in such a unique industry dealing with a carrier who's issuing payment either to you or the homeowner's boyfriend, the tenant. There's so many moving pieces in a single file.
Yeah.
Taylor and mine's adjusting background, being able to speak to the insurance process all the way through is, I think, where we failed with our project managers in the past, of not being able to handhold and really guide somebody through such a really traumatic experience in their home, and they don't know what way is up, and even if it's the smallest shower leak or something. And so, we're hand holding a lot and really overly explaining, but to us, it's absolutely worth it because it really, negates any sort of question mark that they're going to have.
Yeah, it makes sense. When you get that new call, what percentage, and this is going to be, maybe a guess, but how many people typically will refer to those good reviews that they've read when they call you?
The past 30 days have been wild for us.
So happy that you asked that. Yeah. Realistically, over 75% of the
past 30
days of jobs.
It's amazing.
People have opened the door and said, "Are you Taylor? Are you Dominic? What one are you? Or I've read your reviews. This is awesome that you're here. I got both of you guys this time. Awesome."
That's incredible.
It's almost every job in the past month.
Being a non-program vendor too, as we're oftentimes second or third on the job, and the prior company who came out that was dispatched by the carrier, they did not feel comfortable with, or that when they called the whoever it may be, they didn't feel comfortable with the way they answered the phone, the information they did or didn't provide. And so there's been a lot in the past 6 months that we've been coming in behind somebody or the second or third company that somebody's called.
Wow.
And a lot of times the past 30 days, we're really starting to see that Google review and 5-star pay off, because we're now getting oh yeah, I read. And some customers call so frantic, and I say, trust me on this process. My name's Dominic. Go read our reviews. Oh, I've already read them. And so that's such an awesome feeling.
That is too cool. I think, for employees, owner operators, sort of building that, it's almost like a type of celebrity, is so important, because at the end of the day, they're not buying the name, they're not buying the color scheme, they're buying you, right? So to be able to look at those internet strangers and hearing their stories, that it so helps the initial conversion from the website to the phone call, and then just sort of calming them down, knowing, they're going to take care of me, because all these other people said they were too. So very cool. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. I've got a couple more questions, and then I'll let you guys go. So tell me about COVID-19 in Washington State. How have you guys weathered the past couple of months?
It's been tough. It's been really an eye-opening experience for us. We feel that we're coming out of it better than we went into it. So, the first 60 days, we didn't know really what was going to happen. We didn't know if the phone was going to keep ringing, not ring. The first couple, after our real aggressive 2-week lockdown where we shut everything down and said we're not doing jobs for a bit until we see where this goes, we didn't know what it was going to look like. We had customers yelling at us in the driveway, put on your Tyvek and your respirator before you come in. And so we didn't know how it was going to end up. Yeah. With that, it's forced our hand into this really 5-star review mindset.
Yeah. Yep. A complete restructure definitely happened probably, 60 days ago or so. And I don't wish any ill on anybody, but I'm very happy that we were put in this situation. We definitely made the best out of it.
Yeah, you adapted.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what you did. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. Most companies, when they go through that drought period, they just throw more money at the problem, or they all get mad, right? Not a whole lot of companies get that you just double down on the things you're good at and you do them better than ever before. You may look back at this, these last couple of months in 2020 and if you look at your company over a 15-year period, go, oh, that's when we made those major changes.
The pivotal moment.
Yeah, that was the crossroads that we hit.
Being nimble is really important too, and I feel like when we 12 months ago had these huge dreams of grandeur, there is no way that I know I could have sustained, my sanity really trying to navigate and shift the Titanic to go, a different direction. We're really kind of that little pleasure craft out there zipping around the big ferries in the harbor and able to overcome and really switch and adapt as we can. And, I think it's been good for him and I. A lot of hard work. But
it's been some long days. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But, now touching on the review thing again, the momentum. I mentioned it to Dominic the other day. It's we were back in front of somebody's door and they said, "Oh my gosh, I've got Taylor and Dominic." I got back in the van after that job and I said, "This is the review momentum that we've been working towards." Now we need to really double down. And it's every job, 100%. I don't even want to track the number because I know every job I'm getting that 5-star review.
But that is, it's so cool to hear, and it's so cool to watch. I love seeing any business, when I get a new client on, I love seeing them grow and you hear about some of the really hard days. But the success stories, man, that's what gets me going. I really like hearing about it. Do you guys own any other businesses?
We do. We own a couple different businesses. We somehow have fallen into a hair salon through a real estate acquisition.
As one does, yes.
Right. And so that's been interesting to work. We get excited about real estate. And so that's more of a passion project of ours. And we get to on the weekends or nights, throw on our tool bags and, crank some music and swing some hammers. And that's fun for us. But that's, all a distraction from H2O Away. So again, 6 months ago, Taylor sat me down because I often have a wandering eye and he said, focus here, give me your time and attention. The other stuff will come later. And so I think that's been good to have an accountability partner over here who said, pump the brakes, man.
I have wanted to work with my older brother, for years. He's been in business 23 years with his company. I've only been in business 7 years, but we are now working together in AIR, in the Alliance of Independent Restorers. And awesome. I am thrilled. I'm just over the moon. So the fact that you guys can, you're doing it, you can do it, you have the ability to work together well is very, very cool. Last question. Just so we're not taking up too much time. 5-year personal and professional, maybe goals, maybe objectives. What do you want to see in the next 5 years, personally and professionally?
I can go and then you can go.
That's tough. Yeah.
Personally, I would like to marry my girlfriend that I've been with now 2 years and have another child. I have a 5-year-old at home. And so adding one more to the mix would be, an extra set of hands on job sites and things. So that would be good.
You got to plan ahead. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then professionally, I think we would love to keep tweaking and developing. I would love to keep tweaking and developing my real estate, some of our other businesses, but really H2O Away. When we get to that tail end of that 6-month mark where we haven't made a major shift, I get antsy. And, Taylor often brings me back. We regroup, we'll, squirrel away in a cabin somewhere or, go on a quick vacation for a weekend and say, what's our new path? What are we going to do? How can we keep it exciting? So I'm excited to keep that ball rolling. And I couldn't even tell you 6 months from now, what we're going to do or where we're going to go. But I think that to me is the most exciting piece. And I hope that continues for the next 5 years or indefinitely, because I know my head will stay in the game definitely if we keep doing that.
Yeah.
Sure.
What about you?
Personal for me, I actually just found out my girlfriend of quite a while now is pregnant. So
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We're pretty excited. So definitely my goal with that, to have a healthy child and kind of start our little family and be comfortable, and, you know, everything that comes with that. Professionally, I would like to get to a point that I can give Dominic the time that he wants to dedicate to his real estate and his passion projects, and more so his real estate, and that business, so his side hustle kind of thing. So what that looks like is, you know, over the next couple of years is really automating H2O Away, getting to that point to where everything's an SOP, you know, everything, night and day, front to back. There's no questions, you know, there's no guesswork. And I think we're pretty close to that. So that's why the 5-year goal, I could not even tell you what 5 years looks like from me down the road right now. Like Dominic said, I could be closer to telling you what it's going to be in 6 months. But the way that we've been conquering, I could use that word, you know, task. Yeah. I mean, it has been so fulfilling. We have just been, you know, setting those goals, setting those tasks, writing them down, crumpling up the piece of paper and being done with it and moving on. And it's been happening so fast. When we are working together 100%, 16 hours a day, whatever it is, we've just been, you know, setting them up and knocking them down over and over and over again. The past 24 months has flown by so quick that, like I said, I cannot tell you what 5 years looks like. I really can't.
Our in-office philosophy, we have a picture frame that has a big GSD on it. So people often say, what's that mean? And we say, oh, don't worry about it. Internally, and, you know, pardon my French, it means get shit done. We don't sit on our, you know, heels a lot. If it's write this file, we got to get that file written. If it's go, you know, mow the front 40, it's mow the front, but it's not letting things stack up. And that has, you know, maybe not long term, you know, it might not make sense to us, but right now we just got to get things crossed off the list.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Guys, I really appreciate the time. You guys get me excited about the industry all over again. And I think, I mean, customer reviews is a great thing to talk about. I think we covered it well, but this might find a bigger audience with, you know, the guys 5-10 years younger who want to be doing this stuff, to see your all's energy and passion towards it and how you've executed in the last 2 years. So awesome. I really appreciate it. Folks watching, H2OAway.com is Taylor and Dominic's website. If you want to check them out, you can find us at UnitedRestorers.com. And we're also proud members of the Alliance of Independent Restorers. That's AIRestore.org. Until next time, take care.
Thank you.